My name is Ethan. I worked with wood. I had an old workshop. It belonged to my grandfather. I grew up with my mom. My dad left us. I never saw him again. He just disappeared. My mom worked hard. She cooked. She cleaned. She smiled even when she cried. She told me stories. She told me to be honest. She told me never to beg, never to lie. We didn't have money, but we had love. We had respect. We had each other. I wore old clothes. I had broken shoes. But I held my head high. I never complained. I learned carpentry from my grandpa. He taught me about wood, about patience, about doing things right. He said, work with love. He said, every table has a soul, and I believed him. I worked with my hands, I built chairs, I fixed doors, I made people smile. I didn't have dreams. I only had today. I lived one day at a time. Nothing more. But then, one day, I met her. Her name was Sophia, and my world changed. It was in a library. I was looking for a book. She was sitting near the window, reading. She looked smart. She looked calm. She had soft eyes. She had a peaceful smile. She said, hello. I said, hi. We started talking, and I didn't want to stop. She loved books, she loved music, she loved silence, and I loved listening to her. She asked about my work. I told her about wood, about the smell of sawdust, about the joy of creation. She listened with care. She didn't laugh at me. She didn't look down on me. She smiled. We met again, then again, every week, in the same library, in the same place. We talked about life. We talked about pain. We talked about dreams. And slowly we fell in love. She came from a rich family. I came from a poor one. But hearts don't care about money. I held her hand, we walked in parks, we sat under trees, we looked at stars. We didn't have big plans, we didn't talk about marriage, we just wanted time together. But time is cruel, and people are crueler, her father found out, and everything changed. He was a big man, he had a suit, he had money, but he had no kindness. He came to my workshop. He didn't knock. He didn't smile. He didn't sit. He said, stay away from my daughter. He said, you are nothing. And then he left. I was angry, but I was calm. I was sad, but I didn't show it. Sophia cried. She hugged me. She said, don't give up. And I said, I won't. I went to her house. I stood in front of her father. I said, I love her. I said, I want to marry her. He laughed at me. He said, you fix chairs, not lives. He said, get out, boy. He told Sophia to forget me, to go away, to study in another country, to start a new life. She didn't want to leave, but they forced her. They packed her bags. They sent her on a plane. We didn't say goodbye. We didn't write letters. We didn't call. It was over. I sat alone in my workshop. I touched her favorite book. I looked at the door, but she never came. Days passed. Nights passed. The world moved. But I didn't. I missed her voice. I missed her laugh. I missed her eyes. I missed everything. I cried at night. I worked all day. I didn't eat much. I didn't sleep much. I started working in 2 places. I cleaned floors. I carried heavy wood. I took every job I could. I saved every coin. I ate bread. I drank water. I kept dreaming of her. I told myself, one day I'll be someone. Not rich, not famous, just enough for her. Then something worse happened. My mom got sick. She couldn't breathe. She couldn't walk. The doctor said, "Cancer." I said nothing. I just stared. I felt cold inside. I had no money. I sold my tools. I sold my jacket. I even sold my phone. I slept beside her. I held her hand. I prayed every night. I cried in silence. One night she looked at me. Her voice was weak, but her eyes were strong. She said, "My son, don't break your heart." She said, "Break your chains, not your soul." I kissed her hand. I said, "I will try." She closed her eyes, and she never woke up again. I buried her with my own hands in the rain, with no one but me and the wind. I stood alone, no mother, no father, no Sophia, just a heart full of promises. I said, "I will not quit." I said, "I will rise." I said, "This pain will build me." I started from zero, again, and again. But I was not the same anymore. I was fire. I worked day and night. I fixed chairs. I built shelves. I cleaned floors. I lifted boxes. I had no weekends, no holidays, no rest, just work, work, and more work. People didn't see me, but I saw them. Rich men in cars, rich women in stores. I watched them from the window. I smiled at their happiness, but my heart felt heavy. Sometimes I fell asleep standing. Sometimes I forgot to eat. Sometimes I cried in the dark. But I told myself, "Don't stop," I whispered. "Keep walking." I said, "She's waiting." I didn't know if she still loved me. I didn't know if she was okay. I didn't even know where she was. But I believed in love. I believed in promises. I believed in something bigger than pain. One day a friend came. His name was Malik. He was kind. He saw my pain. He said, "You're not alone." He said, "I believe in you." He gave me money. He gave me hope. I opened a small shop, just one room, just 4 tools, just one dream. I called it Ethan Woodworks, not fancy, not big, but it was mine. I worked with love. I made small things. I made picture frames. I made wooden toys. People came, they smiled, they told others. Slowly the shop got busy. I still lived in the back. I still ate little. I still prayed every night. But my hands were strong now. My heart was focused. My soul was full of fire. Sometimes I sat alone. I looked at the stars. I remembered her voice, her smile. I wondered if she thought of me, if she still believed, if she missed me like I missed her. I never loved again. Not because I couldn't, but because my love was alive, waiting. I didn't want another face, another voice. I wanted her, only her. Then 1 year passed, then 2, then 3, and the business grew slowly. I bought new tools, I hired one helper, I painted the walls, I opened a second shop. I got cheated once, I lost money, I cried again, I wanted to quit, but then I remembered my mother, her words, her hands, her last breath. I stood up again. I cleaned the shop. I fixed broken tables. I didn't give up. I learned from pain. I learned from failure. I learned that strong hearts don't die. I started reading books. I started learning business. I started speaking to people. I wasn't just a carpenter now. I was a builder of dreams. I helped young men. I gave them work. I taught them. I told them, you matter. I gave free chairs to schools. I fixed old windows in poor homes. I smiled at strangers. People started talking. Newspapers wrote about me. The carpenter with a big heart. But I didn't care about fame. I didn't care about praise. I just wanted her to be proud. Then one day, I got an invitation, a big event, a business expo, many companies. They asked me to join. They said, you inspire us. They gave me a free booth. I worked all night. I made my best pieces. I packed them with care. I wore my best shirt. It was the biggest day of my life, and I didn't know she would be there. The hall was full. Lights were bright. Cameras were everywhere. People walked around. I stood near my booth, smiled at visitors, shook hands, said, welcome. Then I saw her, across the room, standing still, holding a folder, looking at my name. She didn't move. I didn't breathe. Time stopped. Heart spoke. She walked slowly, her eyes wide, her lips shaking, her hands cold. I stepped forward. I smiled. She whispered, is it really you? I nodded. She said, you came back, like you said. I said, I never left. Not in my heart. We stood there, in a sea of people. But we were alone, like in the library. She cried. I held her hand. She didn't care who watched. I didn't care who judged. She said, I waited for you. I said, I built everything for you. She said, I said no to two men. I said, you were the only one in my story. She smiled. She cried again. She touched my face. I kissed her hand. She said, my father will never agree. I said, I don't need his permission. She said, they'll try to stop me again. I said, let them try. She said, I don't want to lose you again. I said, then don't let go. She held my hand tighter. We left the expo. We walked in silence, our hearts loud. That night, we sat in a small cafe near the station, far from noise, far from fear. She looked tired but peaceful. I looked older but strong, and we both smiled. She told me about her years, her studies, her loneliness, her waiting. She said, no one knew, but I cried every birthday. I wished for you. Only you. I told her about my journey, my mother's words, my empty nights, my little shop. She held my hand. She didn't blink. She listened like my words were music. I told her about pain, about being laughed at, about hunger, about sleeping on the floor. She didn't cry, not yet, but her lips shook, her fingers trembled, her heart spoke. She said, My father still controls everything. He still thinks love is a business. I said, let him think what he wants. We don't need his approval. She said, he'll be angry, he'll shout again, he'll try to stop me. I said, then shout back, not with anger, but with truth. The next morning, we met again in front of her family house, heartbeats fast, hands cold. She walked in. I followed. Her mother sat in silence. Her brothers looked confused. Then he came. Her father, the same cold eyes, the same heavy voice. He said, "What is this?" She said, "It's my life." He said, "Not anymore." He looked at me long and hard. He remembered me. He frowned. He said, "You again? Still pretending to be a man?" I said, "I'm not pretending." He said, "You think money makes you good enough?" I said, "No, my actions do." He said, "You'll never be part of this family." I said, "Then this family loses her." She stood beside me, strong, fearless, her voice firm, her eyes bright. She said, "I'm not a deal. I'm not a contract. I'm not a product." She said, "I choose love, not comfort. I choose truth, not silence." He shouted, "You'll regret this," she said. "I already regret staying silent for years." Her mother wept but said nothing. Her brothers left the room. Her father sat down. She took my hand. We walked out. No bags, no goodbye, just freedom. We got married that week in a simple garden, under the sky, under hope. No flowers, no gold, just love, just truth, just a few friends. Some old neighbors came, some old workers came, even Mr. Malik came. People who once laughed, now clapped, people who once judged, now cried. She wore a simple dress. I wore my best shirt, but our smiles lit the place. We danced slowly, under the moon, her head on my chest, her tears on my shirt. Days passed, then months. We lived in a small apartment near my first shop. She helped me with orders, she cleaned the workshop, she made tea for the workers. She loved the smell of wood. She said it reminded her of books, of peace. We were poor in money but rich in love, and that was enough. Then one day her father's company started falling, debts grew, clients left, partners disappeared. I heard it on the news. I felt no joy, only sadness, only silence. She said nothing at first. Then one night she said, "He's losing everything." I said, "I know." She said, "What now?" I said, "We help." She looked at me, confused. She said, "After everything?" I said, "That's who I am." I went to the company, I bought shares, I gave ideas, I trained the staff. I never said "I told you so." I never asked for thanks. I just worked. Slowly the numbers rose. Slowly the company stood again. Slowly the lights returned. One morning he called me for the first time, not with anger, not with pride. He said, "You saved my company." "Why?" I said, "Because she loves you." He said, "And you?" I said, I love her, and that means helping even those who hurt me." He was quiet, very quiet. Then he whispered, "I was wrong." He shook my hand, looked down, and walked away. He never said sorry, but he didn't need to. I saw it in his eyes. Later that night, she hugged me tight. She said, "You didn't win. You healed." I smiled. I said, "Love doesn't need to win. It needs to stay." Today, we live in a house we built near a lake, full of light, full of warmth. We have 2 kids now, like angels, loud, funny, full of dreams. She reads books to them. I build toys for them. We laugh every night. Sometimes we sit by the fire, drink tea, and remember the library, where it all began. My days started early, before the sun, before the birds, before the noise. I walked outside, breathed the cold air, touched the wood, smiled in silence. Claire stood by the window, holding coffee, holding love, holding peace. Our kids still asleep, their toys on the floor, their dreams still floating. My shop became bigger, brighter, louder with life, louder with hope. We hired young people, dreamers, workers, some broken, some lost. I sat with them, told stories, taught them slowly, trusted them. Many came with nothing, left with skills, left with fire in their hearts. One boy, his name was Leo, just 19, quiet eyes, rough hands. He said, "No one ever believed in me." I said, "I do." He worked hard, made mistakes, but never gave up, never ran away. I saw myself in him. I saw the same hunger, the same silence. One day he stayed late, just to fix a chair, just to get it right. I watched him, didn't speak, just nodded, just smiled inside. He looked at me and said, "You changed my life." I said, "No, you did." He hugged me, like a father, like a friend, and I knew he would be fine. Claire opened a small reading corner inside the shop, full of books, full of light. She called it the quiet room, a place to rest, to think, to feel. Kids came after school, mothers came with babies, old men came for peace. No rules, no noise, just calm hearts and the smell of wood and paper. We hosted free workshops, free talks, free food on Sundays. Some people came for help, some came for stories, some came just to belong. We gave them tea, we gave them tools, we gave them something money can't buy. We gave them dignity, patience, and a door that never closed. The town noticed, then the city, then people far away. We got letters, emails, videos from strangers saying, "You gave us hope." One man from another country wrote, "I started my own shop because of you." Another said, "I was going to give up. Then I found your story." I never planned to be famous, never dreamed of interviews, lights, or applause. But the truth has a voice, and love has legs. It travels without asking. TV shows called, magazines came, people took pictures, people asked questions. But we stayed the same chairs, same tea, same laughter. One day, Claire got a call from her father, soft voice, soft breath. He asked to visit, Just visit. No expectations, no rules. She said yes, with shaking hands, with careful hope, with hidden fear. I cleaned the house not for him, but for her peace. He came, older now, slower, eyes not so sharp, voice not so strong. He brought no gift, no speech, just himself, and maybe a little regret. He sat with the kids, told them stories, watched them laugh, almost cried. He looked at me, nodded once, and said, "You did well." That was enough. Not perfect, not magic, but a beginning. We ate dinner, simple food, simple words, simple healing. He said I was blind. I said we all are, sometimes. He said, "Thank you for not turning away." I said, "Thank you for showing up." After he left, Claire held me close, tighter than ever before. She said, "You made peace with my past." I said, "For our future." That night, we danced again, no music, just heartbeats, just memory. She whispered, This is the life I always wanted." Years passed like rivers, calm days, wild days, rainy days. We lost some people, gained others, saw dreams rise and fall. But the shop stayed strong, the love stayed loud, the fire stayed warm. And the library? We still visit every month hand in hand. Our kids grew fast, too fast. One plays music, one draws dreams. They ask about our story and we tell it again and again. They laugh, they cry, they say, "Wow, that really happened?" We smile, we say, "Yes." And it all began with a quiet hello. Now I sit by the window, where it all began. The same train passes, the same wind blows. I think of the boy I was, the man I became, the woman who waited. I write this story not for fame, not for praise, but for you, the one reading. Because maybe, just maybe, your story is waiting too. Now I wake up slowly. I stretch my arms wide. I hear the birds sing. I feel calm inside. Claire brings me tea. She kisses my cheek. She smiles with love. She says good morning. The kids leave early. They laugh and joke. They run to school. They chase big dreams. The sun touches the walls. The air feels warm. I sit in silence. I feel very thankful. I walk to the shop. I open the door. I breathe in deep. I smell fresh wood. The tools are ready. The light is soft. I touch the table. I smile alone. Customers arrive slowly. They greet me kindly. They ask for help. I listen with care. They say, "This place is magic." They feel something real. They feel safe here. They feel peace. I hired more workers. I gave them chances. Some were broken. Some were lost. One man was shaking. He cried the first day. He said, "I failed." I said, "Try again." Now he builds chairs, strong and smooth. He works with pride. He smiles every day. That's the secret here. We don't judge people. We give them hope. We let them grow. Claire has her corner, a room full of books. The windows are big. The floor is warm. Children sit and read. Mothers hold babies. Old people write. Teenagers laugh quietly. Every book has a home. Every person feels calm. Every moment feels pure, like old times. It started so small, just a dream and heart. Now it shines bright, like a gentle light. Her father visits often. He walks with the cane. He speaks slowly. He stays for tea. He once said, "I was wrong. I saw his eyes. They were full of tears. They were full of pain." I said, "It's all right." He looked surprised. I shook his hand. We both forgave quietly. Sometimes healing comes late, but when it comes, it feels deep, it feels real, it stays forever. We now help others. We visit schools. We talk to youth. We share our story. They ask, "How did you start?" They ask, "Was it hard?" I smile at Claire. I say, "Very hard." But we didn't give up. We stayed strong. We stayed kind. We kept believing. The road was long, the nights were cold, but the dream was warm, and the love was strong. Some nights we sit outside, we hold hands tight, we talk in silence, we feel everything. Claire says, "We made it." I nod slowly. I say, "Because we never let go." I look at the sky, I see the stars, I think of the past, I thank it all. Even the pain helped, even the loss gave, even the tears built, even the silence taught. We still visit the library, same place, same seat, same memories come back, same smile appears. I whisper, "Thank you." I touch the table. I remember that day. I remember her eyes. So if you're reading this, and you feel tired, and life feels heavy, and you feel lost, please believe this truth. Your pain has power, your story has value, your time will come. You are not weak, you are just growing, you are not failing, you are still learning. You are not alone, you are not forgotten, you are not broken, you are full of hope. Keep walking forward, keep your heart soft, keep your hands open, keep your dreams alive. One day you'll look back, you'll smile with tears, and you'll say proudly, "I made it."